Before I get into Amberlynn's latest What I Ate Today, I have to kind of take back something I said in my last video. I suggested, maybe too generously, that she had displayed a flicker of sincerity, a rare moment in which I briefly considered the possibility that beneath the manipulation there was a kernel of authentic vulnerability. But I take it back. I went back and listened to the voice notes again, and people were right. They do feel curated and fabricated. And that means I do take back my sympathy that I extended to her. It probably all just was a performance. Even if the tears about the adoption situation were genuine, if she asked the question herself, then it was all deception, so it doesn't count. I was too soft. I was too willing to believe that a person steeped in performance might for once simply speak. But she didn't. She staged. So Amberlynn Reid has not earned grace. She spent a decade laundering manipulation through confessional content, and the other day I nearly fell for it. But today I remember who I am. I do not sympathise with the spider after it weeps about the web. So, moving on to her What I Ate Today, she's announcing that she's done. Done with what, you might ask? Accountability, scrutiny, reality, math, the concept of numbers, all of it apparently. She informs us that she will no longer share calorie counts in her What I Ate Today videos because it's too triggering. Triggering to her, mind you. Not to the thousands of people watching her continue to live out the same performative failure for the 847th time. The trigger here is our skepticism. She claims she weighs everything, logs everything, counts everything, but will share nothing. And if you dare question her, you are the problem. You, with your suspicious mind and your ability to identify that in fact 100 potatoes doesn't equal 0 calories. How dare you notice? She wants to be seen as precise, but not verified, transparent, but never questioned, open, but untouchable. She wants trust without proof, and progress without evidence, and applause without effort. If I were in charge of this circus, we'd be having monthly audits, publicly posted meal logs, and a nutritionist on speed dial. Instead, we just have a woman weighing her food in a fog of delusion, demanding that we believe what she says, but refusing to say anything measurable. She says she's done, but I say she's stalling. Again. She eats her first meal and wishes she had more Brussels sprouts. Of course she does. The tragic operatic wail of a woman who just cannot be satisfied, even with a container full of 4 separate food groups and a memory as selective as her food scale. Steak, potatoes, corn, Brussels sprouts. All described with the passive resignation of a woman who thinks that naming a brand vaguely, potato company, something company, is the equivalent of tracking food. This is just a verbal shrug in casserole form. But at least she had her water. She made sure that we knew that. Hydration, after all, is the one hill she's willing to die on. She claims that she's done, but she clings to these rituals like they mean something. Like an individual Brussels sprout might change the trajectory of a decade of failure. If this is improvement, I shudder to think what collapse looks like. She then moves on to 2 bagels with whipped cream cheese, because of course she must let us know that this is the lighter option. Not healthy, not balanced, just less than the disaster she would have inhaled otherwise. But that is the thesis of her entire dietary empire, is it not? Well, it could have been worse. And then we're blessed with a tour through her condiment experiments. A sweet pepper dipped in sriracha, followed by a radish. She marvels like a toddler discovering a foot. So good. No insight, no purpose, just chaos. And then she asks us whether we prefer the top or the bottom of a bagel, as if this were a pressing matter of public health, like it's not just the latest attempt to inject personality into a void filled with cream cheese and delusion. She says that she prefers them out of the bag, untoasted. And of course she does. She's lazy. She nearly reached for a diet soda but restrained herself for water, because discipline in her world begins after bagels. And this is what done looks like, apparently. We then find out she purchased a 20-piece chicken nugget meal from McDonald's. And for what? To nibble the skin away and discard the corpses. The logic here, or the absence of it rather, is stunning. She claims the inside creeps her out. Then why the fuck are you buying 20? Not 5, not 6, not 10, 20! You don't stock up on something that repulses you unless you're lying, or addicted to the failure. This isn't a meal, it's just a crime against chicken and logic. But do carry on, I'm riveted by the descent. I was wondering if she was going to do it this video, and here she is, standing again in the kitchen, mouth hanging open, eyes glazed, hunched over like a raccoon. For the love of structure, why does she stand around and graze like a disoriented Victorian ghost in a pantry? Just sit, use a table, pretend that dignity exists. She devours pretzels dipped in cottage cheese like it's fine cuisine, humming through every unholy mouthful like she's auditioning for a mukbang horror movie. It's not just unpleasant, it's offensive to the senses. The wet slop, the crunching, the She's just a woman slouched in her kitchen inhaling cheese sludge and licking at her fingers like it's performance art. And now a glacier-freeze Gatorade, because nothing complements dairy sludge and dusted starch like electric blue sugar water. Her digestive tract must be filing a restraining order. If I were trapped in that kitchen for longer than 10 minutes, I would walk into the nearest oven and close the door behind me. Amberlynn, just sit down, use a proper plate, close your mouth while you chew, spare us the sound effects. And then she unveils her final course, a Heath bar. The climax of this nutritional circus is toffee cemented in chocolate, and yet she consumes it with the reverence of a Michelin star experience. She holds it up like it's a relic, a sacred text. That's the toffee, she murmurs like it's a divine revelation. And then she goes into her food for thought segment. Because after inhaling lukewarm steak, butchered nuggets, and bagels abused by cream cheese, she believes that we require reflection, introspection. But what are we reflecting on? The chaos, the toffee, the spiritual emptiness of eating every meal standing up like a cursed marionette? No, you don't need a food for thought segment. You need therapy, and a chair, and a muzzle. She reflects, she emotes, she opens her soul to us over the smouldering ruins of a day that began with microwaved Brussels sprouts and ended with a single chocolate bar. She tells us that she regrets the chicken nuggets. The woman who purchased 20 consumed maybe 7 and surgically removed the breading like she was performing an autopsy. Of course she regrets it, because the food mirrored the emptiness. And now she credits the universe for sabotaging the flavour. Divine intervention via industrial poultry paste. It's inspiring. Her grand takeaway isn't that she's clinging to loopholes in a 3 takeout-a-week rule like a lawyer on death row. Not that she stands upright in a kitchen like an insect gnawing on dairy-laced pretzels. No. Her lesson is, well, maybe if the nuggets had been tastier, this wouldn't feel so sad. You didn't need those nuggets. You need a hobby. You need a salad. And with that, we end this episode of Chaos Cuisine. Until next time, just remember, standing in your kitchen chewing on regret is not a meal plan. It's a cry for help. Stay sharp, stay sassy, and for the love of all things sacred, at least toast your bagels.